Welcome to From Chaos to Cosmos. I'm Kristy, your guide in helping you to find your own personal, perfect cosmic order. Today we are talking about the upcoming Libra full moon and how you can work with and utilise this energy so that you can feel empowered to co-create with the cosmos. In this video, we will be looking at the overall kind of general vibe of the full moon, what kind of energy Libra holds, and kind of insight into what kind of topics and themes this might be bringing up for you more generally. Then we'll go a little bit more in depth by looking at the house that this full moon is illuminating in your natal chart, meaning that this is the area of your life that this energy is directly going to impact. So it's much more kind of specific to you and kind of how this might manifest for you. Then I'm going to give you some journaling prompts that will help you explore the energy of this full moon a little bit more. If journaling isn't your thing, then no worries, like you don't have to journal. You can just take the prompts and kind of either think on them, use them as like a little meditation prompt for yourself, or use them for kind of divination purposes. So get your tarot cards out, ask the question and see what happens in the cards. Or since this is the Libra full moon, it would be a perfect time to also talk about these prompts with someone else and use them as like a little back and forward chat. And then we will finish with some lovely and simple little rituals that you can do on or around the full moon. And everything is time-stamped, so just feel free to like jump around the video to whatever your heart desires. This full moon occurs on April 2nd, 2026 at 3:12 a.m. I am going based off of British summertime because I am in Scotland, so this time will vary depending on where you are in the world, so just make sure to check that. But the kind of energy of this full moon, typically I feel can be felt the day before, sometimes days leading up to the full moon, the energy kind of starts to build. And then like the day after the full moon as well, the energy can be worked with too. Full moons can illuminate areas of our life that needs changed or healed in some way. So it's almost like a light is being shone on them so that we can work through them. The sun being directly opposite the moon brings all that was hidden into full visibility for us before it slowly transitions back into the darkness bit by bit until we get to the new moon. And the cycle repeats again. The moon is deeply connected to our emotional world, so it's literally no joke when people say that people go like a bit mad round about the full moon. Like I know many people who are not into like astrology anyway, like even healthcare workers and taxi drivers and stuff that are like, man, people are fucking nuts at the full moon. And that's because it really impacts us. If you think about the way that the moon even impacts the tides of the oceans, we contain so much water. The water element is connected to the emotions. Of course, it's going to affect us in some way. So Libra is a cardinal air sign and its ruling planet is Venus. So Venus is all about love, harmony, beauty, aesthetics, balance. Libra is the sign of the other, so this is very concerned with relationships, collaborations, partnerships, and I would say more so like those kind of intimate, super close relationships, but it doesn't have to be romantic, so it can be business partnerships, like contractual relationships, or it can even be like friends that you're incredibly close with. And as I says, the moon is directly opposite the sun. The sun is currently in Aries, which is known as the sign of the self. So Aries is ruled by Mars, which is Venus's direct opposite. So Mars is all about aggression, assertion, power, domination, kind of that like really like active, fiery energy. So for this full moon, we can see these Libra energies illuminated. So this is where we can have really balanced, beautiful, harmonious relationships in our life. But because these themes are being illuminated by the sun in Aries, that means that it can also bring up things such as, where do we back down when really we should be standing our ground? Maybe places where we like fear asserting ourselves or kind of Libra has this energy as well that tends to sit on the fence and not really pick a side because they just kind of want to keep the peace. So this makes this a really good opportunity to bring all of these things into balance. It shows us where we can be completely devoted to someone while still maintaining our own personal boundaries, where we can respect the opinions of other people while disagreeing with them, and how we can focus on maintaining healthy, happy, fulfilling relationships while still feeling healthy, happy, and fulfilled outside of those relationships. And Libra is all about balance, so really you just kind of want to think about this as balancing the more feminine, beautiful, harmonious, peaceful, loving energy of Venus with the more masculine, aggressive, assertive, powerful, fiery energy of Mars. And although these energies are incredibly different from each other, they do both live within us already. So we all have kind of very Venusian energy and we all have very Martian energy as well. It's all just in there. Some people just have a little bit more Venus, some people have a little bit more Mars. And if you think about the mythology of Venus and Mars, or Aries and Aphrodite, Aries and Mars are kind of typically thought to be like a little bit different from each other. They're like a similar deity. That's not really what this video is about. They're like a similar deity, but they're kind of, I feel like Aries was typically kind of disliked and Mars was more well loved, but they're like this same two sides of the same coin essentially in my eyes. So Venus and Mars were in this like divine partnership together, even though they're like completely opposite, they were still like romantically linked together, and they kind of help to balance each other out a little bit. So this full moon is asking for you to focus on this externally, but also within yourself. Let's talk about the 12 houses and what this transit looks like in each of them. So to look at the area of your life that is going to be most impacted by this Libra full moon, you want to look at where you have 12 degrees of Libra in your chart. To do this, you can get your birth chart up. Personally, I like astro.com for doing natal chart readings. And you want to look for the symbol of Libra on the outer wheel. And then each of these little segments that you can see is 5 degrees. So you want to, in an anti-clockwise motion, find 5, 10, 12 degrees of Libra. And once you've found that point in your chart, you want to look at what house this falls within. So the houses are the little kind of segments. So depending on what house system you are using, your segments might all be equally measured or your houses might be different sizes, but it kind of looks like a little pie chart and there's like different slices of pie. So where your 12 degrees of Libra, 12 degrees of Libra lies, 10 times fast, where that is in your chart, you want to look at what section of the pie and the number that that pie is. You can also use a transit chart calculator. I really like astroseek.com's transit chart calculator. A lot of tongue twisters in this video. This will give you an overview of everything that's going on in your chart right now, but to use this you kind of have to have like a basic knowledge on how to read a birth chart, and this can feel a bit complex if you're a little bit newer to astrology. So for the purposes of this video, just finding where 12 degrees of Libra falls in your chart is going to be enough. Okay, so let's now get into the houses. If this full moon is transiting your first house, this might bring up themes of identity and who you show up as within relationships. It's thinking about who you authentically are and what version of you would show up as even if nobody else was watching. You might also think about how much of your emotions and your energy you are given to someone else and if there's anything left over for yourself. Again, thinking about these mutually beneficial relationships that feels really fulfilling for you to be in the relationship, but you also have enough of your own kind of devotion left to leave yourself feeling fulfilled. It's definitely a time to ask yourself how much of yourself you are willing to compromise and if your boundaries are as healthy and as strong as they could and should be. It might also be a time of thinking about your physical appearance, like how you aesthetically show up in the world. Like, are you free to kind of express yourself in the way that you would like to express yourself? And it is thinking about how you are externally seen impacts how you feel on the inside, and vice versa. If you're super confident and you really know who you are, then you probably feel free to dress and look and wear and show up exactly as you want to. But sometimes you might have like a style or a look or a certain thing that you want to wear, but on the inside you're like, oh, maybe I can't pull that off. Or maybe you don't quite know maybe who you are, so you don't know who you want to show up as. These are kind of themes that can be highlighted for you, and it's looking to kind of ask you to look at your like personal style, but not in like a really kind of vapid way, but in a way that's like what feels authentic to you. If this full moon is transiting your second house, this might bring up themes around money and resources. This could definitely bring up things around shared resources between yourself and another person, making sure that everything is balanced and fair. It might also bring up themes around self-worth and how you kind of feel on your inside and what beliefs you hold manifests into the physical world. So this could look like harmonizing or kind of working through any limiting beliefs that you have around money and around the things that you actually like deserve. It could also bring about topics of if you are excessively spending all the time, or you are indulging too much in certain things. Or on the opposite end of the scale, maybe you have more of like a scarcity mindset and you tend to kind of hoard resources, and this is kind of coming from like a place of these like beliefs that are within you. Again, the second house, people think, oh, it's just money and I don't care about money, but the second house is a lot deeper than that, because a lot of our like physical world, the money that we earn, the things that we like possess, our resources, our safety, all of that actually comes from an internal sense of self-worth. So a lot of people say that they never resonate with like their second house, and I kind of felt like that for a really long time, and I have a fair few I have some things going on in like my second house, and I would always be like, that's strange, like I don't know why that area of my chart's like a little bit more active than other areas. I'm not really like money driven, not really money focused, but it definitely goes a lot deeper than that. This house is at its core about your safety and your self-worth and the things that you think that you deserve. So now would be a good time to kind of work through this stuff, balance it out, make yourself, feel really good about these things and get to like the root cause of it, ultimately with the goal being finding like a happy medium. If this full moon is transiting your third house, it might bring up themes around communication. Now would be a good time to express your thoughts and your feelings to others, making sure that you are being heard and speaking your authentic truth, but also that you're really listening to what the other person has to say in return. I feel like this is quite a good time for really harmonious interactions with people. And the third house specifically talks about like neighbours and siblings and people that are kind of quite close to you. I would even extend that to workmates and schoolmates, because I feel like they are like neighbours of sort. This time could potentially feel for you as well like you have a lot going on in your mind, like a lot of mind chatter, kind of non-stop stuff going on. Also, I'm so sorry, I feel like the lighting is changing so much. Like, it honestly doesn't know what season it is outside. It doesn't know if it's spring, if it's midwinter, if we're going for like grey, dull darkness, or the sun is shining. Like, The weather doesn't know what it's doing today. So I do feel like now would be a really good time to get all of those thoughts out of your head and be able to vocalize them to a really trusted person. Again, things are being brought up so that you can work through them, so that you can find that internal sense of balance and harmony. If this full moon is transiting your 4th house, this might bring up themes around your home life and your family. There might be a real focus here on bringing a more harmonious energy to your family dynamics and to your home life in general. This could potentially even look like certain things from your childhood that are being brought to the surface so that they can be nurtured and healed. You might be thinking about the place that you actually physically live and asking yourself, is this like a peaceful, loving sanctuary for you? This might look like thinking that you want to maybe like uproot and like move where you're living altogether because you're like, this just isn't working for me, whether it's like the place or the people or the aesthetics of it, and you're just kind of done with it. Or it could just be like, my house is needing like a little bit of like a spring clean and I feel like I need to make like my surroundings more beautiful. We spoke about this a little bit with the 1st house, but oftentimes your external environment says a lot about your internal world and vice versa. I know like if my house is a mess, like I feel like I'm also cluttered on the inside. In times where I feel cluttered on the inside, my house tends to be a mess. It kind of is like this back and forth dynamic going on. If this full moon is transiting your 5th house, this might bring up themes around romance, creativity and pleasure. This might look like taking on new creative endeavours, or maybe you just feel like there's a lot of like creative, fun, free-flowing energy floating around for you. Romantically speaking, partnerships might be on your mind, and this could look like solidifying already existing relationship dynamics with the dreaded "what are we" talk. Or this just could be deepening bonds of pre-existing relationships that you've already got going on. Or if you're single, maybe you're feeling more inclined to go on more dates and get out there and have a little bit more fun. This is also the house of children as well, so topics around children might come up if you are in like a more solid relationship. Or if you already have children, your bonds with them might be kind of brought up to the surface as well. If this full moon is transiting your 6th house, this might bring up themes around your work life, your day-to-day routines, and your general well-being. This house is really all the day-to-day stuff, so kind of bringing balance into your day-to-day routines, the things that you always do, the things that you might even kind of be doing on autopilot and not really thinking about. But it's also thinking about the idea that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, but all play and no work means that you will be skin and hungover by the end of the month. Relationships in the workplace might be brought up as well round about this time, with the goal being making it more, you guessed it, harmonious and balanced. Libra loves nothing more than the harmony and the balance. Health and well-being could be illuminated here, encouraging you to bring in routines that are supportive to your general like health, healing, mental health, physical health, well-being, all of that. If this full moon is transiting your 7th house, well, this is the house of Libra, so all of these Libra themes are really going to be illuminated here. So that is your partnerships, your collaborations, your relationships, your marriages, contractual relationships, even like open enemies, like not like sneaky behind your back enemies, likely people that like you know that you dislike and they dislike you. Essentially, this full moon is going to be illuminating the relationships in your life, whether that is like your contractual business relationships or it's your more intimate relationships. This might look like thinking about how you show up in relationship, what kind of partner you are. Are your current relationships mutually beneficial, or is there an imbalance there? Do you give too much? Do you take too much from someone else? And do you have the freedom to be authentically yourself within these relationships? Libra energy can often kind of bend and shape shift to please other people a little bit, even if it's to their own detriment. So it's a really good time to think about these kind of themes. If this full moon is transiting through your 8th house, this might bring up themes of deep emotional purging or change, or bringing things up to the surface that were once hidden. This could be like fears, desires, subconscious things, maybe even things that you didn't know was actually going on within you and has just been kind of beneath the surface the whole time. Again, this will likely be in relation to partnerships of some kind, but it also could be about balancing the duality within yourself. This house is really big on transformation, so anything going on in this house can feel like a little bit of like a purging of sorts, but it is always for your highest good. If things are brought to the surface, it's because you are supposed to transform them and release them. This is also the house of shared resources, so if you have like a joint bank account with someone, or you own a business with someone, or you like share like a mortgage with someone, something along those lines, things like this might come up as well. If this full moon is transiting your 9th house, then themes of spirituality and belief systems might be brought up for you. So this could look like your relationship to spirituality or to your religion. Maybe even like the beliefs and religion of other people and what that kind of means in relation to your own beliefs. I'd also even say if you have like a deity work practice and this full moon is transit in this house, then that relationship there could be illuminated in some way. This is also the house of long distance travel, so you might be planning like a big trip on the horizon, or like a big move to like the other side of the world or the other side of the country or something like that. But what I will say with this house is I have personally like a lot of stuff going on in this house, and I'm not really like a big traveller. I'm kind of more of like a homebody, I would say. However, I do love learning a lot about other religions and other people's spiritual beliefs and cultural practices. So for instance, like I'm a yoga teacher, obviously that originated from India, and I also love astrology, which is, as far travelled as it can get. So love working with like the Greek pantheon of gods, even though I'm from Scotland. So even though I'm not like physically a physical traveller to these places, in relation to like my spirituality, I kind of travel a lot. So I just bring this up to say that a lot of these houses, you have to be like a little bit more broad thinking with it almost. So like I says, this could be as literal as you go on like a big massive trip, or it could be something like you find some kind of spiritual mentor from another country, or just like your belief systems are brought up in some kind of way. If this full moon is transiting your 10th house, this might bring up themes of ambition and authority. Like maybe you are super career driven, and this kind of means that your personal relationships almost take a back seat. Or on the flip side, maybe you invest so much of your energy into what other people around you want that you feel like you don't really ever have the time or energy to kind of chase the things that you feel really ambitious about. Your relationship to authority figures could be highlighted here, so this could be like a boss, or like I guess even like a parent or like a teacher or something like that. Anybody who you kind of feel like has authority over you, and it'll be kind of shining a light on like how you feel about that relationship and that dynamic. It could also be time to implement structures into your life that will lead to long-term success. So the 10th house is also known as the house of legacy. So thinking about what it is that you're going to leave behind, what it is that you're working towards, and the kind of big aspect of things. And it's also the house of public reputation. So it's kind of thinking about the version of yourself that you are showing up as consistently. Who do you want to be known as? What kind of things do you want to kind of leave your mark on the world with? And because we're talking Libra energy here, we're also thinking about the partnerships that will help you get there, and even the kind of aesthetic appearance of what your legacy looks like. If this full moon is transiting your 11th house, this might bring up themes of community and your role in society as a whole. This house does talk about friendships too, so while the 7th house is those kind of super intimate or contractual relationships, the 11th house is more like your wider network of community. So this is like kind of like, can be more casual friends, I guess, but it also can be like groups that you are part of, charities that you work alongside, even things like your social media following and stuff like that. The full moon on this house can shine a light on your hopes, dreams, and aspirations for your future, but also for the future of the society and the community that you are a part of. It's kind of thinking about what your role to play in that is. Almost if you think about the kind of all of the healing work, the internal work, everything that you do on yourself is going to have a ripple effect out there into society. Again, Libra can often kind of change themselves to suit others in whatever group setting it is that they are in at that moment. So while everybody does have a slightly different persona with whatever group that they're in, like I'm sure you probably act different with your partner to you do with your mum, to you do with your friends, to you do with your work. Like it's like different personas, of course, but this full moon might be having you looking into, does each version of you feel truly authentic to you? It's more thinking about not having yourself change in every group setting that you're in, and more about letting a side of yourself shine through in that specific situation. If this full moon is transiting your 12th house, this might bring up deep emotional aspects that have been hidden, or subconscious fears and patterns, likely again in relation to relationships. You might be thinking about how certain past wounds that you have impacts your intimacy with other people now. Or you could even have hidden desires uncovered to you. It doesn't all have to be like doom and gloom. You might find something kind of is illuminated and brought to the surface, like a desire that you never even knew that you had. Hidden parts of relationships might be brought to the surface now as well. So this of course could be secrets and such, but it also could just be things that have been lying just under the surface and kind of remaining like unaddressed. Now is the time that these things are likely going to have a light shone on them so that they can be worked through. So now I'm going to give you some journaling prompts. So feel free to do all of them or to only do the ones that really kind of resonates with you and that you feel is applicable to your life. Like I said in the beginning, if you don't like to journal, you don't have to physically write anything down. You can literally talk out loud to yourself or someone else. You can just listen to the prompts and just kind of let that settle into your subconscious mind over the next couple of days and see if anything comes up for you around it. You can use it as a divination tool as well. Like, use the prompts in a way that's kind of going to best suit you and suit your life. I know loads of people don't actually like to sit and like journal things down. Personally, I like to journal, but I also like, if I have stuff that I want to get off my mind, what I find is really useful for me is literally just talking it out loud, even if nobody else is there. Sometimes, especially if nobody else is there, sometimes I think it can feel quite intense to physically put something down on paper. It feels like almost like a little bit of like a commitment, especially if you're talking about more like personal things that maybe is quite hard for you to like actually get out there. Sometimes just speaking them out loud, saying them in the moment, and then you've released it, you've let it go, you've forgot about it, you can cleanse your space afterwards if you want, and it's already done. And evidence of that doesn't really exist anymore. So yeah, use these prompts in any way that you see fit. Number 1. If fear of judgment or societal expectations did not exist, who would I be and how would I show up in the world? Number 2. If money was a person, how would I describe my relationship to them? Number 3. Who in my life can I authentically communicate my feelings to and feel completely heard? Number 4. Where in the world and with who do I feel most at peace? Number 5. What is something beautiful I'd like to create purely for the love of creation? Number 6. How can I harmonise and bring beauty to the day-to-day moments of my life? Number 7. If I were my own partner, what things would I love about myself? And what things would annoy me? Number 8. What belief systems am I holding onto that might be outdated? Where did these beliefs come from? What would happen if I let these go? Number 9. What does my relationship to spirituality look and feel like? Has this changed over the years at all? Number 10. How do I feel around people who have authority over me? Am I comfortable in being someone with authority over others? Number 11. What groups, causes or charities do I feel most passionately about, and why am I drawn to these? Number 12. What wounds from my past impact my relationship with others now? And then let's finish with some simple rituals that you can do for the full moon in Libra. Okay, so I'm sure you already know about moon water. It's probably the most common and over talked about full moon ritual. Have I been saying new moon this whole time? I feel like I have, but I've been filming for over an hour, so sometimes when I get to this point and I've been talking non-stop, I'm like, what things have I actually even said? Has anything I've said even made sense? Have I even been talking? Have I even been here? What am I having for dinner tonight? Yeah, so making moon water underneath the full moon isn't exactly a revolutionary concept, but I do think that there's a reason that it is so popular, and that's because it is so versatile. You can use it in so many different ways. But with all this really kind of beautiful, lovely, harmonizing, really Libra has such a lovely, lovely energy to it. I love the idea of making moon water with the intention of absorbing all of this harmony, balance, love, all the kind of Venusian energy of it, and then sharing the water with someone that you love. So maybe this could be someone that you want to deepen a bond with, or it could even be someone who maybe you have some conflict that you need to iron out, but ultimately you love or care about this person, so you want it to go really, really well, and you want to still either be friends or in a relationship with this person or whatever. So you can definitely do that. I love the idea of that. And you could drink just the water, just straight water. Straight water. Or you could definitely make it into a tea as well. Use the water in a tea and then boil in some herbs that really kind of align with this intention. So maybe lavender or rose or whatever you want your outcome to be. You could make a tea based alongside this. You could also, if you wanted, leave a bottle of wine in the moonlight to be blessed and then share the wine with your partner on a date night or with one of your friends on a date night or something like that, or share it with yourself on a date night. I just think that would be a really nice idea. So it's the same concept. You kind of ask the moon to bless the wine instead of blessing the water, and it just makes it a little bit more of a kind of fun kind of twist on it. You could do some lunar breaths with a specific focus on your heart chakra. So you can kind of do this by closing your eyes, and as you inhale, you imagine drawing down the silvery energy of the moon. As you inhale it directly into your heart chakra, and as you exhale, you kind of let that energy burst out and into your auric field. So you are drawing the energy in, and you're also radiating the energy out. And on the exhale, you can again imagine that kind of, sorry if you can hear Evie tapping along, you can imagine like the silver energy of the moon surrounding you. You could imagine like a kind of pink energy for kind of self-love or friendship love, or just that kind of like sweet kind of love. You can imagine the colour green because that's the colour of your heart chakra. So the idea here is you're drawing down the energy of the moon and you're infusing your auric field with it. But you also could, once you've done the breaths, make sure that you fill like your own cup, make sure you fill your own auric field with it. And then when you feel like you're so full of that energy, you continue doing the lunar breaths, but you send the energy on the exhale to someone else. So someone that you love, or someone that you just feel like needs like a little bit of extra kind of love and harmony. And finally, you can turn the creation of art into a little ritual. So this can be like literally like creating art, so like a painting or a drawing or whatever it is, but you can also get creative with it. It can be doing a YouTube video or just like a home movie video that nobody else is ever going to see, or you could make a Pinterest board or a vision board, kind of anything that helps you to feel creative and feel inspired. And you can do this art based on the themes that are brought up for you during the full moon. So if you're really focusing on transformation, maybe you do art kind of focused on what it is that you're transforming into. If you're focused on relationships, maybe you create art that kind of feels to you like the embodiment of love or whatever it is. Maybe you like dress yourself in a way and you become the piece of art. So you could play about with makeup or clothing or hairstyles. You could make your home feel really, really beautiful and really safe and like a really nurturing, loving place that you like to be. You don't need to be confined with it. I feel like art is something that is so free flowing, and often we kind of put like we try and put it into like a rigid kind of structure, when really so many things can fall under the category of art. So when people are like, oh, like I'm not artistic, like I'm not creative, I don't really believe that. I think like everybody has a creative streak. It just might not fall under the kind of rigidity that we call like art. And that is the end of the video. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this or you have found it useful, please do like the video and subscribe if you would like to see more. If you're interested in a transformative Persephone inspired meditation, that is the last video that I put up just before this one. I think if you're into like meditation and all of that, and you love the Greek pantheon as I do, or you just want to go on a little bit of a transformative internal journey, you're really going to enjoy that video. And if you would like to book a tarot reading with me, you can do so by emailing the email address that is on the screen right now. I will also leave it in the description box as well. And I hope that you have a very beautiful and harmonious Libra full moon. Bye!